Vault-Tec did not save America. It buried it, carefully, methodically, and with federal approval. Long before the siren sounded on October 23, 2077, the fate of millions had already been decided behind closed doors, under classified contracts, and beneath a smiling corporate logo. The vaults were not built in desperation. They were not rushed shelters thrown together in panic. They were planned for decades, funded at the highest levels, engineered with precision, and designed to seal human beings into controlled environments where survival itself had become just another variable. Vault-Tec presented itself as certainty in an uncertain age. As global tensions escalated and resources dwindled, the corporation positioned its vaults as the final guarantee of continuity. Advertisements showed pristine underground cities filled with clean air, abundant food, orderly governance, and smiling families. Children studied beneath fluorescent lights. Engineers monitored control panels. Overseers stood watch with calm authority. The message was consistent and relentless. Life would continue underground exactly as it had above. Enrollment materials emphasized preparedness, responsibility, and patriotism. Securing a vault slot was framed as both a privilege and a civic duty. Vault-Tec was not selling fear, it was selling reassurance. When the bombs fell, the vault doors would close, time would pass, and America would emerge intact. Nothing in Vault-Tec's public messaging suggested any risk. Nothing hinted at experimentation. The vaults were shelters, safe, scientific, humane. They were not presented as an alternative to survival, but as survival itself. Vault-Tec did not operate at the margins of government power. It functioned inside of it. Vault construction was federally funded. Sites were selected with access to government land, infrastructure corridors, and defense priorities. Vault-Tec personnel carried security clearances consistent with national defense contractors. Legal exemptions shielded vault facilities from civilian oversight, environmental regulation, and public accountability. The vault program was treated as a matter of national security. Coordination between Vault-Tec and federal agencies was routine. Communications flowed between corporate executives and government officials whose names were often redacted, anonymized, or reduced to simple titles. Authority was distributed across committees, departments, and classified initiatives that blurred the line between public office and private enterprise. Operational control of the vaults remained in Vault-Tec's hands. This distinction mattered. Vault-Tec designed the systems. Vault-Tec also defined the parameters. Vault-Tec appointed overseers, installed automation, and encoded the protocols that could not be altered once the doors sealed. So the government authorized the program, and Vault-Tec executed it. The vaults were never intended to save the population. Even at full capacity, only a fraction of American citizens could have been accommodated. Admission was selective, often arbitrary, and shaped by criteria unrelated to survival probability. Entire regions were left without coverage. Others were saturated with redundant vaults, each operating under radically different conditions. This wasn't inefficiency, it was design. The vault network was divided into two categories: control vaults and experimental vaults. Control vaults functioned as advertised: stable populations, standard governance, long-term sustainability. These vaults existed to establish baselines, to demonstrate what normal looked like under isolation. But most vaults were not control vaults. Experimental vaults were engineered to isolate variables under total containment: social structures, authority models, genetic isolation, psychological stress, resource scarcity, artificial intelligence governance, chemical exposure, radiation tolerance, cryogenic suspension, forced obedience, and manufactured conflict. Each vault tested something different. The vaults were laboratories, and the inhabitants would test populations. Many vault residents entered believing they were being saved. They were not informed that their vault would seal permanently. They were not told that their overseer had been instructed to follow protocols regardless of human cost. They were not aware that automated systems could override leadership, ration resources, or initiate population controls without explanation. In some vaults, overseers were fully briefed and sworn to secrecy. In others, overseers themselves were part of the experiment. In several cases, no human authority inside the vault possessed full operational knowledge at all. Vault conditions were immutable. Once sealed, there was no appeal, no override, and no external intervention. Failure was not a flaw, it was merely data. The vaults were not designed for any kind of recovery. They were designed for observation. There is no unified plan for re-emergence. Timelines where they existed are conditional and undefined. Criteria for reopening the vaults are vague, deferred, or dependent on evaluations that could only occur if external civilization survived intact. The implication is unavoidable. The vaults were not waiting for the world to recover. They were waiting to be studied. Vault-Tec's internal language reflects this orientation. Populations are discussed as variables. Behavior is modeled. Outcomes are projected. Casualty rates are anticipated and accepted. Ethical considerations are absent. The Vault program sought to understand how humanity behaves when stripped of choice space, and autonomy, when survival itself is engineered? Vault-Tec's internal structure was built to prevent responsibility from accumulating anywhere. Engineers focused on systems, administrators tracked metrics, overseers followed protocols. Automated systems enforced compliance. Each layer operated within a narrow scope, insulated from the consequences of the whole. Artificial intelligence played a central role. Many of the vaults relied on automated governance systems capable of enforcing policies without discretion. These systems did not hesitate. They did not doubt. They simply executed. This architecture ensured that no individual, corporate or governmental, could be said to have caused what happened inside the vaults. The system was simply doing what it was designed to do. Vault-Tec did not act without government knowledge, but by framing the Vault program as a corporate initiative, federal authorities avoided direct accountability for its outcomes. By operating under government authority, Vault-Tec avoided public scrutiny. Responsibility was fragmented, distributed, and buried beneath layers of classification and automation. So no single signature could authorize the experiments, and no single office could be held accountable. This was not negligence, it was structural. Vault-Tec was not a neutral, humanitarian organization. The vaults were not primarily shelters. The experiments were intentional, systematic, and known at the highest levels of the program. What does remain unclear is how far that knowledge extended. How many officials understood the full scope, and how many accepted partial explanations, and how many chose not to ask? The absence of this clarity is in itself revealing. When the bombs fell, the vault doors sealed. Inside, populations entered systems that would define every aspect of their existence: governance, reproduction, conflict, survival. Outside, the world that justified the Vault program ceased to exist. The Vault program did not end on October 23, 2077. It activated. Many vaults would remain sealed for decades. Some would never open. Others would release populations shaped by forces never meant to be survived, only observed. The consequences of the Vault program were not immediate. They unfolded slowly, invisibly, beneath the surface of a dead world. By the time those consequences emerged, Vault-Tec was gone. The government that enabled it was gone, and there would be no one left to answer for what had been done.